and then we can just go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna take a look at your gameplay for a minute, see how you play.
This is my will.
And then, can you remind me of what SR you were again?
260. 2600.
Okay. So good job with the spam Discord orbs.
Touch from afar. Regenerating your cellular structure.
Alright, so I think a big thing that I'm noticing so far is we're getting a little too aggressive. And what that's meaning is that twice we're having to use our fade to get backwards because we're always so far forward. So we can see it here in a second when they push in is we end up pushing ahead of our tank here, right? We push ahead of Reinhardt. And then that means that we have to fade to get backwards, which means that that's just not good because we don't want to have to use fade when we could just be already positioned here, still be damaging them, and then now we don't need fade, right? And then we do the exact same thing in a moment here. When we get fade back up, look, we push forward, we push ahead of our Reinhardt. They were damaging. We push ahead of our Reinhardt again here, right? And then we're forced to fade back, right? So we're getting very, very aggressive with our positioning, and just keep in mind that you are still support, so your positioning should be behind your tanks.
Okay.
And then that way you're not pressured to get back so much. Okay, here, there for two things, right? Pay attention to your health, because when you're low, you can't push far in. And then the second thing is you need to pay attention to the fact that you're running at a Reaper. Okay, so here we use our ultimate, but when we use it, we're only at 28 HP or 30 HP, right? So even if we're ulting, we still need to play very, very passive, right? We probably want to play far away from them, just back up into a corner or back up this way, right? Instead, we run at them and we run towards a Reaper who's a close range character. So so far our aggression is super, super high when we don't want to have it that high, right? Because then that kills us here. Because we're running straight at them when we're 30 HP.
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm not dead yet. I cast this forth. I'm restored. This will improve your condition. Oh, good luggage. My will made real.
Okay, make sure you're not running away from your team, right? When you're going off on your own like this, and you're not with your team, then that's gonna mean that your team's not able to protect you, and you're not able to heal your team, which is half of your kit, right? Half of your kit is damage, but you also have to remember that the other half of your kit is healing, so you should be almost like a 50-50% like balance between the two. So you should be healing half the time, damaging half the time, roughly speaking, right? And so far we're just being super hyper aggressive, right? And we're always trying to damage. And here we end up pushing so far forward that half our team's dead by the time we're getting back to our team. Alright, and then we're forced to, and then the other thing here, right, again, is we're forced to use fade to get back to our team, right? And then that means that we don't have fade when they use high noon. So again, we're pushing super far forward, and then we're fading backwards, and then that just means that we don't have fade when the fight's actually starting here. And so
this whole time, I shouldn't go to Lucio there. I should have stayed here.
Yep. And then we can just damage on the front line instead of trying to damage the back line.
Okay, okay.
Alright, so the fight's pretty much done here.
I'm not
So
dead yet.
let's take a look at team composition. So this is something that you should be doing at the beginning of the game, but we didn't go over it yet. But we want to take a look every single game. We want to take a look at the different team comps so that we can think about how are we playing it different against these team comps. So, our team comp, right? We have Tracer, Soldier, Hog, Mercy, Ryan. Okay. So what we're running right now is what you'd call a hybrid comp. We're not really running anything in particular because Reinhardt's Brawl, Moira's Brawl, but then we have Mercy who spam, Hog who spam, Soldier who spam, and then we have Tracer who's not really either of the two. Tracer's more of a dive. So right now we're not really running anything in particular, so we're just all going to be doing our own things for the most part. The enemy team, they are also running something kind of weird. They're not really running anything in particular. Monkeys dive. The Zarya can assist with the dive, but then they have a Reaper and a McCree who aren't really dive. So most of their team is looking like they're running more of a brawl. Reaper's brawl, Zarya's brawl, McCree's brawl, Anna's brawl, Lucio's brawl. So they want to play fast, and you guys probably want to play a bit slower. Is just what you want to get from that because you guys are not running a full brawl, whereas they are running mostly brawl. So the faster that your team is playing and the closer you guys are playing to them, the more of a disadvantage we're going to be here. So we want to play far and slow.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
And we'll go over that further at some point. What do we waste all our resource on? Okay, so right now we're just holding down our resource on really nothing. But if we look at this, we're coming out here. This is most certainly out of reach of the Soldier. Your healing is 15 meters, but this is like 25 meters, right? This is very, very far out of your range. So right now we're just wasting our resource on the Soldier. And then the second thing here is, right, we're holding it down here, but Soldier's already full HP, right? We shouldn't be healing him anymore. But we keep holding it down, we keep holding it down. And now this is fine so that we're healing Hog, but we wasted 3 or like 2/3 of our resource just on the Soldier who didn't really need our healing in the first place. Okay. And then the Hog, we're also holding it down on him when he's being healed by a Mercy and he has self heals. So again, we're over healing the Hog. So now we're left with pretty much no resource. And we have to be careful of our resource management because we don't want to be at 0 resource when we're entering a fight. Because that means we won't be able to heal anybody.
I need to recharge. Allow me to repair the damage.
Okay, good job throwing the heal orb when you're out of resource, but make sure that you're also throwing it when people actually need healing, right? Because here we just toss it and nobody's in need of healing, and then we don't get any value out of it. So the big thing on Moira, probably one of the biggest things that a Moira player can learn is how to watch health bars, because you're going to be saving resource if you're watching health bars, and you're going to be using your orbs correctly if you're watching health bars. Because on your team, nobody here's low, right? Look at all their health bars. The only person who's low on your team is like the Reinhardt, who's down like, what, 50 HP, 100 HP? So this orb's not going to get a ton of value, and you see it just kind of run off into the distance there. So save it a bit longer, wait until people need it, and then we'll get more value out of it.
Get into position.
Okay. Right now, when we're at 0 resource, our number 1 priority, it now should be damage. Sorry, one more before I continue here. Would you mind swapping to either push to talk or push to mute, because I'm hearing a little bit of background noise.
Okay. Is now better?
No, I can still hear it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I will mute. Yeah, I will mute it when I will not talk.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. So yeah, here, unlike before, right, where we were damaging all the time, now it's seeming like we're not really damaging at all, even though we're at 0 resource. And we need to make sure that when we have no resource, that our number one priority is getting that back. So we need to be making sure that we're damaging even more now, so that we can get our healing back, right? But here, we're not really looking to damage at all, right? We're never right clicking stuff. We're just throwing an orb. We're trying to use the little bit of healing that we have, but we're never right clicking really. So we just want to make sure we're right clicking more often so that we're getting that resource back.
Surrender to my will.
Okay, don't just focus the monkey and that's it, right? There's a lot of people that we can hit behind the monkey, right? We could be hitting the monkey and the Reaper at the same time. We could be hitting the monkey and healing our hog, or healing our what is that, our mercy in the sky, right? So don't just hit one person with your ult, because you're gonna get a lot more value if you're hitting multiple people at once. So look to hit the monkey, and you can kind of rotate your body around the monkey so that we can kind of see the monkey and the Reaper, or the monkey, if we want to see the mercy, we can rotate our body so we're seeing the monkey and the mercy, right? So we can rotate our body around the monkey here so that we're hitting multiple people at once, not just the monkey, which is what we do here, and that just means that we don't get as much value out of our ult. Yep, good decision to leave the monkey once he starts primaling, right? You're not gonna be able to kill him, so there's no reason to stick on top of him.
This
Okay.
will restore you.
When it's like, you have to kind of evaluate this here, and you probably don't want to walk back in. You probably want to get out, because look, it's just a hog versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right? You're not gonna be able to rescue him. It's very unlikely that you're gonna be able to save him. So you coming back in here is just gonna stagger yourself, right? You're going to be dying here, and then you're gonna die late, or even if you don't die here, that forces you to use unnecessary cooldowns, right? So we could have very easily died there, and then our mercy did die there, right? So she staggered because she tried to save the hog. So you have to evaluate to yourself, right? Can I go back in? Can I rescue him? And the answer there is very obviously no. So you and the mercy should have backed out and just waited for your team to regroup. Instead, she stayed in, and then she ended up dying. Right. So when it comes to healing and damaging, healing should come whenever healing is needed, and damaging should be any other time the healing's not needed. So here, right, we need to be healing because we see that Orion is in need of healing, right? He has multiple people on top of him. So we should be healing him, not damaging. So, right, so far, one of the big things that we struggle with is that we're not knowing when we should be damaging, and we're not knowing when we should be healing. That's probably going to be one of the big ones so far that I'm seeing, is that a lot of the time we're doing damaging and we're doing healing, but we're doing it at the wrong times. We're damaging when people need healing, and we're healing when we don't have any resource. Okay. Good fade, good usage of your heal orb to get you back to full HP.
Not yet. This will restore you. Surrender to my will.
Okay. Look at how much time you have before they cap. Okay. You have an extra, like 5 to 7 seconds. Okay. You're going to be much more likely to win this fight if you might not even need your ultimate, right? They only have 4 people here. If you wait an extra 7 seconds to try to touch point, then that means that you're coming out with a 6 people versus their 4 people. So in this situation, if you just wait a little bit longer, you might not even need coalescence because you will have the man advantage, right? So in this situation, just wait on the coal. Use the coal if you need it, but just wait up.
If I tried here to keep alive the Winston, it would be a mistake.
If
5
you
seconds later.
if you died
If
to
I
keep
try,
alive the Winston, you don't have a Winston on
yeah,
your team. You mean to
Uh,
kill him?
if I try to keep the Roadhog is critical here.
Hmm.
Yeah. If I use ulti here to keep alive the Roadhog, mistake.
Well, you have to kind of think, am I able to keep him alive, right? You have to evaluate the situation and go, am I going to be able to like get him out, right? So in this situation, the answer is probably no, because even if we use our coalescence, he has 3, almost 4 people shooting at him all at once, and coalescence probably won't be able to out heal that. So even if we use coal on him, we probably won't be able to save him. And the other thing is that we coal late here, right? We're coaling after the hog's dead, so we end up being like delayed with that, and that means that we're not unable to kill him. So that coal needs to either come earlier, or we need to just not use it at all, right? Because us using it there is just it is wrong because of the fact that he ends up dying. Right. So we have to evaluate to ourselves: are we going to be able to get him? And in that situation, no, we probably weren't able to get him because of how many people were shooting at him. Good target focus.
This is my will. I will unmake you.
Okay, so really good focus with your targets there, right? You're picking out one person to focus on, right? And then you're going, and then when you went for the Ana, you were shooting at the lower HP target, right? So it's really good, right? You swapped to the Ana, so you saw that the Ana's like lower HP, so she can be an easier kill. So really well played there.
I'm on fire. It would be wise to stay out of my.
Okay, so that's fine because you guys should end up winning this, unless
I must
he like
reflect
kills
upon this.
everyone. Nope, he ends up killing everyone.
Get into position.
Okay, watch when you start healing, because a lot of the time you start healing when you're out of range of people, right? So like Reinhardt here,
I
right? We're
must
coming
reflect
out and
upon
we're
this.
holding down heals and we're 100% out of range, right? That's most definitely not in range, right? So now we're just wasting resource on Reinhardt. And then we keep holding it down even though we're not within range of anybody, right? And then we're holding it down here when Hog's very far out of range here, right? So we're continuously holding down left click on our heals when we're outside of range of people, and that means we end up wasting a lot of resource,
This will improve your condition.
and that means that when people need it, we end up wasting it.
I need to recharge.
Right, because here now people actually need healing and we don't have anything. And again, right, throw the heal orb, but make sure your focusing is on damage now, right? Because we need to get that healing back. Don't focus on healing. When we don't have healing, we need to focus on damage, right? Because now last fight we were focused completely on damage. Now this fight, when we don't have any healing at all, we're barely damaging at all, right? We're looking to heal, right? We're shooting a shield, right, and then we're healing. We're looking at our teammates, right? You're healing.
Allow me to repair the damage. Mother dear strength.
Yeah. Okay, so far that is the biggest thing that we need to work on. Is making sure we're managing when we are when should we be healing, when should we be damaging. Real quick, we're going to just go over the range of Moira's healing, so that you can, get that down in your head, so that you aren't wasting it at ranges where you can't use it, and it's very helpful to know this
Science will
information.
reveal
So,
the truth.
in practice range here, 0 meters, 5 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters. So, your healing is going to be 15 meters, I believe. So we should be able to heal people right here on this line, right? Whereas if we back up off of this line, we're no longer able to heal people, right? This doesn't heal them anymore. Oh, no, that does heal them. Okay, let's see. No, okay, yeah, it doesn't heal them, right? So if we're behind this line, we're not going to be able to heal people.
I will unmake you.
See, so make sure that you're within that 15 meters, and then you can heal people. And most of the time you want to be next to your team, because when we're next to our team, then we can do something where we're healing both of them at once, right? And then we can do group healing, which actually saves on healing and gets more value for your healing. So just the big thing so far is that a lot of the time we're damaging too much and we're not paying attention to their heals, or we're going the opposite way and we're healing, right? And then we run out of heals because we're over healing and we're healing when we don't need to, and then now we're out of heals. Yet instead of damaging to get it back, we just keep going like this, right? Every time we get heals, right? Which is very inefficient, right? We're just kind of like staring at our team, waiting for us to slowly regenerate it, when we could just hold down right click and get damage in to get it back. One good thing I would say that you're doing is that when you see that you don't have resource, you end up throwing heal orbs, which is very a good habit to have. So that is one good thing and good habit that you're getting into. Something else to keep in mind is with your coalescence, look to position yourself to where you're hitting multiple people at once. If you have orb, throw orb before you use coalescence. If you're trying to use coal for healing, throw a healing orb. If you're trying to damage, throw a damage orb. That way you just get a little bit more extra damage in, right? So we can throw the damage orb. Look to use coal, right? We see multiple people in here, so we're lining them up. Okay, so we're always looking for multiple people that we can line up so that we can get that extra damage in. Or extra healing in too, right? If we're getting 6 people lined up in a row, that's a lot more damage and healing value than if we have one person. That's not where we're supposed to go.
Traveling to icon ready for battle. I need to.
Okay, so we swap over to the Zenyatta on our team. Let's go over this real quick. I'm gonna send you a picture in a moment here. Right, so on Discord I sent you a picture. So this picture is this is basically a rough compositional list. Basically every single composition that's been in the game has been one of these compositions. Okay, you have dive, then you have brawl, then you have spam, then you have hybrid. Okay, so a example of this is the recent Zarya Hog meta that was in ranked. That was like a hybrid composition. So it's very good to know the difference between the different compositions, because then we can make big game decisions based off that. We're always going to be adapting our playstyle to the different comp that they're running, and you can kind of get a good example of this based off of something like this. So say you're on Moira, right, and the enemy team has flanker DPS, or they have a dive, right? They have a Genji and a Tracer. Okay. Now that means that we need to make sure that we're paying attention more so to our flank angles and behind us, right? Because they're probably going to be coming from the side of us, right? So we need to watch and listen for our flanks. Whereas, let's say that they're running a double sniper, like a Widow and an Ashe, right? We now probably don't need to pay attention to our flanks too much, because we're probably not going to get flanked as often by a double sniper. But what we do need to do now is make sure that we're hugging cover more often and staying next to cover. So whenever you're up against different characters, you're always going to be playing differently. So that's what we're going over here. We're going to pretty much skip over dive real quick, because dive's very complicated, but the gist of it is that you will start off far, then you'll dive in close, and then it plays very fast and slow in different areas. But brawl and spam is where this gets very important, but then also pretty easy to understand. Brawl is going to be your standard, like Reinhardt, Zarya, Reaper, Mei, Lucio, Moira, right? So your Moira character is a brawl character. Now brawl thrives when they are playing fast and close to the enemy team, right? They want to take the fight fast, and they want to play close to you. Spam, on the other hand, is the complete opposite, and they thrive when they're playing far away from you and they're playing slow. Spam comp would be your like double shield, right? Orisa, Sigma, Hog can be spam. Any snipers, any long range characters, and then like Zen, Baptiste, Mercy are all spam. Okay, so spam, they do good when they play far and they play slow. So that means that if, let's say, your team is running Brawl, you guys are going to be winning if you can get on top of the spam fast and you can get in close to them, right? Whereas the spam would win if they can run away from Brawl long enough to drag the fight out. They're trying to play far away from the Brawl and try to take the fight slowly, and then they win because they have longer range damage. So this is all important information to know because we want to be looking at what their team is playing and then adapting based off of that. Hybrid's going to be whenever they're on any mixture of the three. Okay, that's also known as a split comp because you're not really running any main win condition. You're going to be really just playing for your own frags, right? Every player is going to be trying to do their own thing. So you don't need to worry so much about it, but it plays most my word's not working. Similarly to spam, right? You're gonna try to play far and slow usually, when you're playing a hybrid.
Okay.
Okay, so getting back to the replay here. So now we can always evaluate our team if we swap up characters. So now our team swapped up, and now we're running a Brawl. Okay, we're on Ryan, we're on Zarya, which are Brawl characters. Moira's Brawl, Reaper's Brawl. Okay, and then Tracer and Zen aren't really Brawl, but they can act like it works in Brawl. Okay, and the enemy team. So that means that we want to play fast and we want to play close to them. On the enemy team, they have a Ryan Zarya, which is Brawl. McCree can be Brawl. Lucio's Brawl. Mercy's not Brawl. And then what's their other? And then their other one is Ashe, which isn't really Brawl either. So both of us are roughly both of our comps are Brawl comps. But we're probably gonna do a little bit better if we're playing faster because of their DPS mainly. Means that, and their Mercy, because of their DPS and their Mercy, means that they're going to get a ton of value the slower we take this. They're a little bit of a Brawl spam mix. So for the most part here, we're probably going to want to keep, because I would probably usually say Tracer, but because we're on a Brawl, Reinhardt's going to be the better orb target here, so you're probably going to want to leave it on your Reinhardt most of the time here, since your Reinhardt's going to be taking, going to be the one dueling and running into them. And then you're probably going to want to discord their enemy Reinhardt, so you're probably just going to want to leave it on the tanks, your orbs on the tanks for the most part here. Okay, right now we don't have a discord on anything, and our orbs on Tracer, which is an okay target, but remember you're brawling.
You are your own worst enemy. I salute you.
Okay, so we're gonna go over something called crosshair placement, and then we'll come back to this fight, and then I'll show you how this applies. So crosshair placement is basically using your brain to help your aim. This is going to help in any shooter game out there. This isn't going to apply too much to Moira, but this will very heavily apply to a character like Zenyatta, for the main purpose reason that Zenyatta can hit headshots and Moira can't hit headshots. Okay. Now if you take a look here, Zenyatta takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots to kill with body shots. 1, 2, 3 shots to kill with headshot, right? He's gonna be doing a lot more damage if you're hitting heads, so we want to be trying to hit heads. And the big first step to crosshair placement, is making sure that our crosshair is always on head level, okay? If we're aiming body level, then this does two big things. One, this makes our shots harder, because we have to adjust up and to the left or up and to the right. Which is just going to mean that we have to travel more distance, and it makes shots harder to hit rather than easier to hit. Whereas if we have this at head level, now we just have to focus on going left and right, which makes our shots much easier to hit. And the second thing this does is every single spam shot we ever take, right? If we're shooting down a corridor here, right, we're just spamming, right? We're charging up a right click, we turn the corner, we're spamming, right? All these shots are now just naturally headshots just because we're aiming head level, right? We don't really even need to, like, all our spam shots just hitting headshots instead of just hitting body shots, right? We're just gonna be doing a lot more for us. Okay. So when we see that there's a bot that goes top right here, so we know he's coming back, so we're pre-aiming a little bit away from the wall at head level. We can charge up a right click, okay, and then we just have to adjust a tiny little bit because we're already aiming where we know he's gonna be. Aiming head level here, okay, waiting for him to come out, and then I miss the shots, but it's very little adjustment because we're already aiming where we know he's gonna be. So head level at the corner. We know he's on our left, so we're charging up a right click, already aiming head level, right? We're already aiming where we know his head's going to be. These guys are a little bit lower, so we're charging up a right click, right? We're already aiming at his head as we're turning the corner because we know where his head's going to be. Right? These shots just become so much easier to land if we're aiming head level. Now, I'm going to show you how you're not aiming head level here, right? So you can see it for yourself.
Traveling to Icon.
I think we were like 8 minutes in. This becomes apparent in a moment here. It's when we push in on the Ashe. Okay, watch our crosshair here. We're gonna go in like 0.5 speed. Okay, below body, aiming down body, feet. Right, we're aiming at our feet this whole time. Right, and if we're aiming at headshots, head level, then all these shots are turning into headshots if we're hitting her.
Should I also aim to head even if I'm so close with? I usually don't aim head.
You cut out.
I usually don't aim head when I'm very close to the enemy because I'm afraid I miss.
Well, then you're getting into territory of like, you want to aim heads because that's the most efficient way to do damage. Okay. You instead of thinking, okay, I'm gonna miss, so I'm gonna hit their body. Think how like you have to basically just make sure that you're aiming better and landing more shots, and they'll be landing more damage. But you don't see any professional players who say, oh well, I aim at their body because I might just end up missing their head. No, if you look at professional play, most of the time you're going to see them hitting a ton of headshots. You're going to see them aiming head level, right? Because that's how you do the most damage, and it's the easiest way to get kills, right? You're going to be getting kills much more easier, and when the faster you kill something, the less time they have to heal, the less time they have to get away, right? The less time they have for a tank to help them get away, right? So us killing stuff fast is going to be very good for us securing kills. So it's not a valid argument to say, well, I might miss, because if you're just, if you're just shooting normally, you're going to hit all of those shots anyways, right? If you're aiming head level, there's no difference between hitting their head and hitting their body, right? There realistically isn't, because the character is just basically a straight line, right? Their head hitbox is only slightly smaller than their body hitbox. So if our shots are just already aimed at their head level, then those shots just become super easy to land, and we demonstrated that in the practice range, right? We already went over this. It's not like those shots were difficult for me to land because I'm already aiming there, right? I can go to any old character, and these shots are just not difficult to land because we're already aiming at their head, right? We know that this is head level, right? So we're already aiming at the head level. So none of these shots are even like hitting their bodies, right? And there's nothing against body shots, right? Body shots should be kind of a, if I'm not hitting headshots, then I'm hitting body shots. Body shots should be if I'm missing, right? Because that one that I just hit, like, right, that was just a body shot. But our body shots should be if I'm missing the headshot. Headshot should be where you're attempting to be aiming, right? Right, I'm hitting a few body shots, but that's just if I'm accidentally missing and hitting their shoulder. Right, most of our shots should just be looking to hit a headshot, and it's not that difficult if we're just aiming at this head level, right? Because we're already there, and we just need to keep our crosshair on them now.
Traveling to Icon Red.
You are your own worst enemy.
cannot do anything about the quality of the stream. So it's in very low quality.
Escort.
You said the stream is low quality.
Yes.
Okay, I can try restarting if you. Okay, I restarted it. Is
Okay,
it a bit better?
now it is. No.
Objective
All right.
A captured.
Let's get this moving.
Allow me to repair the damage.
I'm escorting the payload.
I need to recharge. Get into position. From afar.
I require healing.
I excited the enemy.
Enemy is back for more.
Escorting the payload.
Okay, here we're focusing way too much on this Genji, right? We're taking a ton of time where we're just staring at our Genji through the wall,
Escorting the
while our team is in the middle of fighting ahead of us, right? Reinhardt's in the middle of brawling, right? Zarya is pushing forward to brawl, and we're just staring at our Genji. We're not really paying attention to what else is happening in the fight here, right?
I was searching the ass.
You are what with Ash?
I was searching the ass. That's why I was staring the wall.
So you're trying to shoot the Ash, you're saying?
Yeah, I was trying to. Well,
This will heal you.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that, like, if you can't see her, just look away. You can glance back every once in a while, but don't just stare at the wall, right? Instead, look at the fight that's happening, and then we can assist with the fight. And then if you see the Ash, then we can just shoot at her.
I excited the enemy.
Right, keep your orb on Reinhardt most of the time here. Right, your orb's probably gonna get the most value on Reinhardt because, like we discussed, both compositions here are mainly brawl comps. So when you're on a brawl comp, the main one taking the brunt of the damage is gonna be both of the Reinhardts, right? Because if you're running in close and you're getting on top of each other and you're playing fast, the main tank's going to be the one who's taking the most damage. So if you can put your Discord orb on the enemy Reinhardt and your healing orb on your Reinhardt, then you're going to be much better off. So the other thing here that we need to be thinking about is, what are we using Transcendence for? Right, if we could see all of their ultimates here, what are you going to be using it for this fight?
why I would be using. What did you ask me?
If we, let's say we could see every ultimate that they have this fight, what ult are we using Trans for?
As a counter ult. If the enemy use Reinhardt ult, we are going to die.
So you're gonna use it if they use Shatter.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, very nice.
I am on fire.
Keep in mind that Grab is a lot more consistent of an ultimate than Shatter is. So and also at the same time, Grab's
Oh,
not
yes,
gonna
yes.
stun you, and Reinhardt Shatter probably will stun you. So if you're trying to dodge out, trying to transfer Shatter, you're gonna need to make sure that you're outside of the Shatter range. Whereas Grab, you don't need to worry too much about that. So Grab is probably gonna be the better one to try to transfer, but you can definitely also transfer Shatter if you need to. Okay.
Yes, I usually do that.
What, you usually transfer the Grab?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go over positioning real quick. Right.
True self
So,
is without form.
good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. If we're standing right here, right, and this is a sniper, this is 6 enemy teammates, and let's say they're all using ults at us, it takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover, and in that time we're dead because they shot us and killed us. Okay, so that means that that's bad positioning because there's an absence of cover while we're standing there. Whereas if we're standing right here, we can discord the same, we can harmony orb the same, we can shoot the same, right? Except for now it takes us half a second to get behind cover, right? So this is much better positioning because of the fact that we now have we are standing next to cover, so we have we're able to use cover very effectively from here. Okay, so whenever you're trying to position yourself, right, this is just general positioning. This will apply to all characters in the game. You always want to position next to cover, and there's a lot of different forms of cover. We can use something like a slope, right? We can use pillars, so we can duck in and out while we're shooting. We can reload while we're behind cover. We can get healed while we're behind cover, right? Okay, we can use corners, right? We can use something like this where we just kind of duck in here, right? You can use the payload like that. You can use pillars, right? Corner, doorway. We can come up on the high ground. You can see it on the high ground, right? The high ground in general is very, very good positioning because on high ground you have a ton of visibility and it's very hard for people to get to you, right? But there's bad ways to use it, right? Say we're standing here. How there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people can see us. Can 5 people shoot at us at the same time?
Yes.
Yes, right? Can we shoot at 5 people at the same time?
No.
Nope. So we will be taking a lot more damage than we can dish out, right, than we can do. So we don't want to be able to see all of these people at once because we'll be taking unnecessary damage. So what we can do is just back up and add in a crouch, and then now only one person can see us. We can move to the left, use this wall. Or sorry, 2 people can see us. Now only 1 person can see us, right? And we can kill this
Yes.
person, and then we can move on and then kill this person, right? And then we can shoot at this person, right? Because they went around the corner. Right, and we can move on. And then we can do the same thing here, right? Where we can use this wall on the left. We can go, okay, 4 people can see us. Now only 1 person can see us, right? And they can only see you can only see a little bit of us. So we can kill them. We can move on, right? Kill this person and move on, right? We don't want to let all of them see us at once. Now we can peek to see like what's going on in the fight, right? We can see all of them, but don't stay there for too long, right? Just you can peek it, see, okay, where's everyone at, and then we can back up, right? All right, now we'll get back to the game because this is how we ended up dying here.
Traveling to icon ready for battle.
So we end up dying here just because we're a little bit away from cover, right? You'll see even just us being an extra second away from cover, right? Because instead of being, you know, right here behind cart where we can shoot and then just go like this behind cart, right? Maybe we're standing in front of cart, which just means that we're not next to cover to where we can duck behind cover once we start getting shot at. All right. Would you be interested in learning how? Or sorry, let me ask this first. Are you familiar with ult tracking?
Ult tracking? What is this?
Ult tracking is predicting what ultimates the enemy team is gonna have.
Sometimes I'm doing it.
Mm.
Yes.
Would you learn how to do that efficiently and like do all of them?
In all of them, what do you mean?
Well, and would you be interested in learning how to track all their ults, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How I can do that?
Okay, so we're gonna use Team 2 on the top right of the screen as as a representation of tab because I can't press tab right now. And all the ultimates that I'm gonna say aren't gonna be accurate to what they actually have right now. Okay, but what we're gonna do is after every single fight, whether or not we won the fight or we lost the fight, we're gonna press tab and we're going to go left to right and we're going to think about what ultimates they used. So we're going to say, okay, last fight, I saw or heard that they used Beat, they used Valk, and they used Grav. So because they just used it, we know that they won't have it for this next fight. So now we have crossed out 3 ultimates that they don't have. Okay, we just saw them swap from a Monkey to a Reinhardt. So that means that that's a fresh ultimate. They reset it. So they don't have that ult either. So now we've crossed out 4 ults. Okay, so maybe we weren't paying attention, or we couldn't see it or hear it, or we were dead. So we ask our team, hey, did they use High Noon or Bob? And they say, oh, well, they used High Noon. So now we know that since we've crossed out every single other ultimate, the only ultimate that the enemy team's going to have for this fight is their Ashe ult. Okay, so how we can use this here is last fight we saw them use a Beat and we saw them use Valk, right? So they have every single other ult besides those 2. And when we know what ults they have, we can better prepare for them. We can think of what ultimates we want to transfer, right? If they have Shatter, that lets our Reinhardt block their Shatter. So we can say, okay, Reinhardt, they have Shatter, get ready to block it, right? It makes it easier on him because he's now looking for it. Okay, we can do things like I'm trying to think. There's not much else we can do with theirs, but for example, like if we're up against a Nano Blade, you can think about what are we gonna do. We don't have Trance. What are we gonna do against the Nano Blade? Right? We can maybe use Shatter for the Nano Blade. We can Grab for the Nano Blade. So when we're thinking about what ultimates they have, we can also think about how we're going to counter those ultimates. So ult tracking is super important for our team to know because we will know how to prepare for the next fight. Okay. And we can also follow that up once in a while with ult planning, which is just telling your team what we want to use. Because right now we have 6 ultimates. What happens if we use all 6 ults and then they only use like 1 ult?
Well, we will die in the next battle.
Yep, exactly. They'll win the next fight. So that means that we want to be not using all our ults because that's an overult. So what we can do is tell our team, okay, this fight, I'm gonna trance it if I need it. Let's use Grav Blade, or Grav Pulse, right? Let's use Grav Pulse. So that means that we're saving Coalescence, we're saving Shatter, and we're saving Blade, and then we're saying to use Grav Pulse, and then if we need to, we'll trance, right? So that way we're not using everything at once, and we're also comboing ultimates. We're comboing the Grav Pulse so that we're getting that off more efficiently. Because what happens if the Tracer doesn't see that we have Grav, and she just goes and throws out Pulse randomly, and then that means that the Pulse doesn't get nearly as much value. Or let's say that Zarya goes and tosses Grav, well, Tracer's dead, or Tracer's not in position, right? So us calling it out to our teammates gets it off much easier and more efficiently. So that's just 2 different things that you can do to up your team's coordination and team play.
The payload moves. Surrender to my will. Team kill.
Right, so we just won, but we ended up using 4 ultimates, and the enemy team used 2 ults. So now it's 2 versus 2. Both teams have 2 ults, so that's looking decent for us. It's not looking too bad. Okay, watch your aggression. Make sure that we're not pushing this far forwards, because what we should be doing is probably holding over on bridge, right? Because we're a long range character. We're not a brawl character, so we shouldn't be up in their face. Okay, good trance. When you're ending your trance, use the last second of it to like hop to where you want to go. So here, probably don't want to just sit in the middle of the fight, because again, we're Zenyatta. We don't have a ton of survivability. We're probably gonna die here if we get too aggressive, because Reinhardt just swings on us and we're dead. So we probably want to back up with it. We just use it to just hop over to where Moira's at, right on bridge, and then we can just spam people from a distance here, apply discords and stuff like that. But instead we just sit on point here, which is gonna be very risky for us. We end up getting frozen. Right. Right now we don't have discords on anything, or sorry, orbs on anything. Okay, we're swapping our discords around a lot, and it's seeming like it might be like it's not like we're swapping that we're not. It's not like we're shooting at them. We're just ending up swapping it. Like here, the discords on the Zarya is fine, right? But then we swap it to like the Mei when the Zarya is low, right? There's no reason to swap it to the Mei if the Zarya is low. It's not like we're now shooting at the Mei very much. Right, and then we're swapping into Lucio when, again, right, the Zarya is still half HP, and Lucio isn't really the target that our team should be focusing. Right, Zarya's full charge, half HP. Lucio's has speed boosting, and just like get out of there if he wants to. So Zarya is probably the better focus target there. Yet we're swapping it over to Lucio. So here we probably just make sure you're sticking it on one person. You're not just swapping it around every other second. Right, you can swap it if you're shooting at the other person. Like right here, you don't see anybody but the Mei, so this is fine to swap to the Mei. Right, but we're just swapping it on way too often. Okay, here instead of putting it on the Baptiste, put it on the Reinhardt, because look at what every other character on your team is shooting at. Tracer's on Reinhardt, Moira's on Reinhardt, Ryan's on Reinhardt, Zarya is should be about to go on Reinhardt unless she doesn't, right? So if we put Discord on Reinhardt, he's gonna basically insta melt because look at where he's at, right? He's way out of position. So we can put our Discord orb on the enemy Reinhardt and our heal orb on our Reinhardt. Instead, we have it on our Moira, right? We just have our orbs all over the place right now. Okay. Request healing when you're getting contested like that, so that your Moira can come and heal you. Make sure if you're getting like dove in the back line, run towards your team. Don't run away from them, because the further away you're isolating yourself from your team, the harder it is for them to come and help you out. But yes, part of that's looking like a big thing for you is your orbs, because those aren't seeming very consistent. Your trance was decent, your shots are decent. Besides the crosshair placement we went over. But, okay, so we have it on Reinhardt. We have it on Zarya, but then look again at this, right? We're constantly just like swapping it from one thing to the next. And for little to no reason. It's not like our team's like all of a sudden looking at that new target. And it's not like we're now shooting at that new target. We're just putting on Lucio, then we're putting on Zarya, then we're putting on Moira, then we're putting it back on Zarya. Right? We just like swapped it 4 times in a row. When that's not really going to get us much value, we could just, place it on Lucio, then place it on Zarya.
Walk in harmony.
Okay. Probably want to use trance for their mail. We don't have orbs on it. Oh, I didn't mean to go 20 seconds back, but we don't have orbs on anything right now. Right, and then that kills our Reinhardt because we don't have our heal orb on anything. Really got to pay attention to make sure that we constantly have our orbs on something. And a lot of the time it's seeming like we're not really focusing on Reinhardt too much with our heal orbs. Okay. Here we see this is a positioning thing where, again, we're not standing next to cover and we're not ducking behind cover, right? We're out in the open. We're ahead of our whole team, right? So we're out of position right now, and then that's what kills us, right? We can't get to cover fast enough. And instead of running to the right here, we even run further this way, right? So we want to make sure that we're trying to get behind cover when we start getting shot at and we're low.
Pain is an excellent teacher.
Surrender my will. I require.
Alright, what time did we start? We started at 12:13, so it's 1:13. Do you want to start our 20 minutes of the hangout time, or now, or do you want to continue a little bit with this just to finish the extra minute?
No, let's play together.
Okay. So I'm going to end the recording here then.